Welcome to Camp Chaos, where we celebrate the wild ride of modern womanhood.
Join us as we dish on motherhood, life's ups and downs, and all things pop culture that we know you want to talk about.
With special guests and expert insights, we're here to empower you through the chaos of everyday life.
Consider this your ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle. And as always, parental guidance suggested.
Camp is now in session. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Camp Chaos for another episode. Today, we are talking about the myth of the perfect mom. And that sounds weird.
It sounds weird. But I think there's with, the Instagram perfect mom and Pinterest perfect and everything, there's so much pressure with social media, especially in the motherhood space. And everything looks so perfect because why in the world would you post bad things about your kids or the tough times? So we just wanted to talk about our experience kind of dealing with social media pressures and the fact that we're in this space for work. So it's a very interesting place to be.
Well, and it's funny. I think this morning when we were talking, we're like, what are we going to talk about? I randomly said to Taylor, I was like, I've had so many people recently that are in my DM saying, oh my God, you are the perfect mom. You are the best mom. And I'm like, thank you. But I'm just showing 0.01% of my life on Instagram. And then it puts this weird pressure of oh my gosh, am I a good mom? Am I I don't believe there is a perfect mom. Everybody's a perfect mom for their own babies. But it puts this weird pressure of oh my God, am I a good enough mom? And what am I putting out there? And you see everybody else. And I know comparison is the thief of joy. And yes, we know that as moms, but yet here we are every day comparing ourselves to what you see on Instagram and TikTok and even just your friends when you show up to a play group and they look like their kids are all dressed and perfect and put together. And I'm well, I just made it here, luckily by, the grace of God. It's just so funny of what is that? Our moms never had this pressure when we were growing up. It was no social media. They had their small core group of friends. Now we have an idea of what people that we went to elementary school look like. And as a mom, what they're putting out on social media. It's just crazy.
It is weird. And I'm going to talk in reference to Instagram because that's the platform that I use the most. I feel like it's so tricky for me because I don't want people to think that I'm a perfect mom because I'm not. So I'm so careful about what I do put out, but then I'll feel bad. I remember Palmer was 3 or 4 weeks old or something, and she was literally screaming. Miller was screaming, and I recorded it. I think we ended up putting it in
it's on the trailer, yeah.
But I wanted to post that to my story, and I second guessed myself because I'm oh my God, am I exposing my kids? Am I making them seem like they're a piece of work, which they are? But it was so much there's so much for me that goes into what I post on Instagram to make sure that I'm not a perfect mom, but I also want to show parts of my life, but I'm not going to show the parts of my life where I'm crying and the kids are crying and it's a mess. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes I can too, be part of the problem of contributing.
Thank you, Taylor. You are the problem.
Hello. The perfect mom myth. And there is no such thing as the perfect mom. Even if I look like that on my Instagram, I'm only showing you the good parts.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I mean, even the other day, I feel sometimes you feel you take 5 steps forward and 10 steps backward as a mom. But I remember I'm okay, I'm home alone, solo parenting today. I am taking the kids to the park and I'm going to stop by and I'm going to get lunch and I'm going to bring a picnic. And I'm okay, I did that. And I got them both home. No one was crying. Everybody was good. And it's hard at this age with our kids being so young. Zoe's just learned how to walk. Zane is not 3 and he's just thinks it's scary out there with 2 kids by yourself. Let's be honest. And then I get home and then literally Zoe reaches in to the fridge and brings this giant thing of salsa down. Zane starts screaming, crying, and it's salsas everywhere. It just was my life looked so good for a second of I felt yes, I'm doing this. And then I came home and I was reality just sunk in. I am losing my shit. They've lost their shit. This stuff, this is real. That's really what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the nature of being a mom. But even I posted not long ago of Zoe climbed up on the tower and I would, of course, grab my phone because I'm you did it, girlfriend. That's so great. And then she grabs the eggs and spills them. But I posted them. I had so many people in my DMs of thank you for sharing this. But it literally that was my Monday fucking morning. Hello, here we are. And then you also post the perfect pictures of your kids where they just smile and everything looks great.
Yeah, I think it's so fun to post the not flattering moments because that's when you start to relate to everybody and that's when people see you as authentic. It's
yeah.
Oh, wow. she doesn't have her shit together all the time.
She does not have her shit together most of the time. If I'm
99%
speaking for
of the
myself.
time. And the 1% that she does, she posts it to her Instagram.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I posted Zoe ripping out my extension because I'm like, that was like my one attempt of like, oh, I'm going to have like this sweet moment with Zoe, like getting ready for the morning. And girlfriend
The girls
literally,
are not sweet.
no, there's nothing sweet. She literally grabbed, like, I have a few individuals in the front, grabbed one, yanked it, and looked at me. But I'm like, I posted it because it was so funny. How could I not? But literally exposing like such intense, like horrific moment. But like I chose to laugh about it. But it's so funny. I think you look at the people that you follow, and I've recently started cleaning up who I follow because I'm like, you do not serve me. Your life is not perfect. And I know that you just show that it all is, or like, I'm comparing myself to you, and that doesn't make me feel good anymore.
Yeah, I think the hard part is comparison, because before we wouldn't be, with our parents, they weren't let into other people's homes, or like they were not seeing like what goes on behind the curtain. You're just showing up at the play date. You didn't see how they got in the car, what they put their kids in, but now we do vlogs in the morning or whatever. Okay. And it's just, even sometimes like I love to watch the vlogs of like people's routines, because I just compare it to mine, not to see like whose is better, but I just want to know if people are like, am I doing this right? Like, am I doing something similar to you? Am I so off the rails?
Yep.
And then I see it and I'm like, oh, well, I let Miller watch Frozen today, and then this influencer was out with her kids at the park, and then she took them to the and then she took them here, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like crayons and paint in my house, because I just know that that's going to cause me to get angry. If Miller has one mess up where he's like, about you. Yeah,
you have no crayons or no paint?
No.
Miller needs to come over.
But that's why he goes to my parents' house. Okay. At my parents' house, he can do Play-Doh, he can do paint. They don't care. They go outside in the courtyard. Even for me, like, this is so dumb. This is like we said we were going to talk about mom fails. Maybe this is like a mom fail for me, but I recently redid my backyard. Like, I redid all of my cement. No offense, but like, I don't want his chalk and his paint and his crayons on my brand new cement. And we have had some, like, when he went to Mommy and Me and art class, where like the paint didn't come off his shirt. And you guys, this is not a big deal. This is little things that bother me. But I know myself that if Miller is just like by accident painting my huge fireplace that I spent thousands of dollars on, like, I will lose my mind.
But then you feel like, am I a bad mom because I'm not letting him do all
do arts and crafts?
I know.
So then I take him to art class so that he can go.
You're like, where can I make it up? I do think that there is a balance of starting to let go. You're like, I'm going to kill you. Not for you, but I just mean in general as a mom.
No, it is for me though.
Because you could lay it down straight. I do think it's just wild. Like, you don't look too closely at my walls. My walls are nicked. My walls have scratches. My walls have everything. And I remember when we first moved in and like Zane was starting to walk and like do things to the walls, I had a paint can and I was like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to touch up. And it was like, wait a second. Like, these are like the sweetest moments ever. And like, you are going to look at this and be like, that's the time that he took a broom to the wall. And like, we will patch this eventually. But right now it's like, this is a kid's house and like, let it be. It's so hard though when it's like, no, you like it all looking perfect. And then you give them 10 minutes and they're going to destroy it.
It took me a long time to get there. I think going to my parents' house helped me because you see the
fun they have too.
I see the fun that they have. My grandma, my mom's mom, she passed away, but when I remember going to her house for arts and crafts, like, she would always do arts and crafts. And my mom, since Miller was young enough, like Mimi
took over that role.
She always did arts and crafts. And I'm like, Mom, why are you letting him play with Play-Doh? Like, it's all over your cement. We're going to have to fire. She's like, who cares? Yeah. Who cares? And I think that for me was finally like,
you're right.
If my mom in her home, if it's good enough for her, it's damn good enough for me. So I still don't have markers or paint. I have allowed crayons in the house. Yeah. But I just, for me, I think that's one of like my biggest, I try to be what I think is perfect. And that is like, when people come over a clean house, and it's like, who cares? You have kids. Your house is never going to be clean again. Well, you know how I was like about having people over for the podcast. I'm like, everything has to be perfect. And then every week that went, I'm like, you know what? I'm a mom and I have kids and this is the kids' home and like 2 littles live here and this is what it's going to look like. And I actually think that we're at this place where it's like, who gives a shit what you think about me and my messy house with my beautiful children that made this mess. Mm-hmm. We are so fortunate that you have healthy kids that are able to go make this crazy chaos of mess. Yeah. But it's also like, oh my God, you're ruining everything while I'm saying that. I also think too, like,
I don't know about you, but so many things are so clickbaity right now that like you see about screen time and you see about artificial dyes, which like, don't get me wrong, I am really against artificial dyes, but like you see all this stuff out there and you just think, oh my God, like it's so much scare tactic and it's clickbait. I honestly think people just put things out there. Yes, a lot of it's true, but then a lot of it's just like they want views and they want shares and it works. But you think, oh my God, what am I giving my kids? What am I allowing my kids to do? Am I like, we're at the age now with the kids going to school, the boys going to school, and it's like you teaching them their no-no zone and nobody's allowed to bring a phone into the bathroom, like all of these things that you start doing. But then you're like, am I doing more damage than good because I'm informing my child too much? Like everything is this constant battle of, am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? Am I a good mom? Am I scarring my child? Is he going to blame me for this in the future? Are they going to, there's this constant battle in your head.
Constantly. Right? And I think Drew and I used to go back and forth because, you know, once you like or save one of those Instagram posts about whatever it may
Your
be,
algorithm.
the algorithm is sending you them. And so we would send them back and forth about like different ways to parent. If your child's having a tantrum, here's how you talk to them, like what they should not eat, what they should be doing. And we used to try to implement a lot of them. And then it's like, oh, wait, this is kind of conflicting with what this other expert said. And then, so you just have to follow your gut. You have to like take it all in as much as you need and then just like throw it away, because I am the firm believer that we know what's right for our kids, and what's right for Zane maybe isn't right for Miller, but only you know what's right for Zane, and only I know.
You may know actually what's right for Zane. What's right. No, it's funny you say that though, because like Zane hated when I brought home Zoe, and that's a whole other topic we can get into at a later episode. But I think when I'm talking about parenting styles, like I would see things on social media and like see people how they parent, and I would try those ways, and then those weren't working for a month. So I would try, I'm like, okay, I need to adjust to this way. That didn't work. I need to adjust to this way. And then I'm like, okay, we need to find my own voice and figure out like how, what you're saying, I can connect with my kid, and how are you going to respond well? Because you think of all these things. Like I'm not a gentle parenting type. I'm not the one that's like, let's tell me how you feel. Take a belly breath. Like totally believe in breathing through your emotions. But like at a certain point, rules are rules, and you are not allowed to do things, and certain things will not fly. Right. But I think it's so weird. Like even when you think of attachment or like these parenting styles, you think of, okay, am I an attachment parenting style? Am I this gentle parenter? Like how, and you think I have to be labeled as something, and you're like, no, I don't. No, I don't have to be labeled as anything. Whatever you want. There's all these different, ways of parenting, and not all of them are going to be just, yes, that's how you parent. But like, I think social media puts this pressure on what is your parenting style. Listen up, ladies. Did you know that there's one phase of sleep that almost everyone fails to get enough of? And this one phase of sleep is responsible for most of your body's daily rejuvenation, repair, controlling hunger, weight loss, hormones, and so much more. I'm talking about deep sleep. And if you don't get enough, you'll probably struggle with cravings, slow metabolism, premature aging, and let's face it, you won't be able to keep up with your kids. Why don't most people get enough of this one most important phase of sleep? A big reason is magnesium deficiency, because over 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium.
You guys, I started taking magnesium religiously, I would say about 2 months ago. So I take it every night, and it has changed my sleep tremendously. I also feel like my digestion has changed. I definitely know I was lacking in magnesium, so this has been a huge lifestyle change for me. Magnesium also plays a key role in regulating your body's stress response system. Those with magnesium deficiency, hello, me, usually have higher stress levels, also me, which negatively impact sleep as well. Now, before you go out and buy a magnesium supplement, it's important to understand that most products out there only have 1 to 2 forms of magnesium sleep mineral. That's why we recommend Magnesium Breakthrough. Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7 forms of magnesium designed to help calm your mind and help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. The deep sleep benefits are really noticeable.
Don't miss out on the most relaxing sleep ever with Magnesium Breakthrough. For an exclusive offer, go to bioptimizers.com/campchaos and use promo code campchaos during checkout to save 10%. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure that your monthly supply is guaranteed.
Yeah, I think social media is the real problem, not us, okay? Not us as moms. We are not the problem. It is social media. Right? That is the problem. I also think what could be the problem, though, for the like perfect mom thing myth, and that how all of us moms experience guilt is, when you're meeting with like your new mom group for the first time, like, okay, let's say even us, like the first time we're all meeting up for something and you pack your diaper bag perfectly. It's like, oh, you have this snack and this
that
snack
was you.
and
That was
this
not
snack.
me.
Well, I like packed it perfectly and did all these things. And then you show up to your group as the perfect mom that you think it is. Like, oh, I got here on time. I did this. Miller has, oh, honey, you're hungry? Okay, here's this. Oh, you need that? Oh, here's this. Here's this.
Yeah. Your friends need this. I'm that mom. I have everything.
And then it all, like, once you start to get closer to your mom friends, it all starts to chip away. Like, oh, the popcorn, yeah, it's at home. We have no snacks today. Do you have a diaper? Can I borrow your wipes?
What do you mean? At swim the other day, I was like, I need a swim diaper. I don't have a swim diaper. Yeah, you constantly are like, okay, here, I put this together so I look perfect. And then like really
but
underneath
it's like when
it
you're
all.
around other moms that maybe you don't know yet, or like when you're trying to make a really good first impression, you try to be this perfect mom. But I feel like you connect so much more even with your mom friends when you're like, yeah, he didn't sleep last night.
Yeah.
I know what they're supposed to sleep 12 hours. He slept 3.
Yeah. And it is what it is. And we are where we are. Good morning. Can I have another coffee? Yeah. I know. And I think that, just cleaning up your social media is actually a good idea to do every once in a while.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Okay, well, let's go through like our mom fails. We don't need to expose them all, but let's share I shared one.
Which one?
That I don't allow paint and color.
I really don't think that that's a mom fail. I think that that's just that's a you fail. Like that's like in your mind. Like that's like more of like your personality. Like you want it perfect. Gosh. Okay. What is my mom? I guess my thing, and I never thought I would do this, is letting them watch TV when they eat.
Okay.
I know. And I know it's not a mom fail. For me, it is, just because in my mind going into parenting, I'm like, I'm not going to be that person with an iPad. Like if we go to a restaurant, they'll have coloring books. Like they're going to be engaging in the conversation, which I truly, really hope we get to one day. But like I will bring an iPad to dinner, and I don't sit them down and then put it out. I let them play with toys. I let them have like conversation, especially Zane. And then it's like last resort, okay, we're losing them. I bring out the iPad, but I personally think it's a fail. I hate a tablet raising my kid. And I know it's not raising, but I hate a tablet even being at the dinner table. And I know that you're like, well, shit, me too. I know. Wow, I hate it. Too. I hate it.
I hate it because I think when you see studies, and I'm sure that there are studies on both, like I think that about everything.
Yeah.
About everything.
Oh, there's always
parenthood.
Yeah.
There's two sides.
And then the truth.
But when you see studies about like, that your kid shouldn't have screen time, I do believe that. And when I see that, like I feel awful. And then I'll tell my mom that, like, oh my God, I feel horrible. And my mom just says, like, you need to decide like the balance in your life. Yeah. You and Drew like to go out to dinner. Your kids, after an hour and the food hasn't gotten here, don't want to sit here. Yeah. So either like, okay, then Drew takes them outside and you eat dinner by yourself and then you switch and that's it. Or you let them watch, they'll eat their dinner for 20 minutes and then we move on. They're not like, they won't sit there and, watch the phone for however long, and we control what they watch and all of those things. But I think for me, it's hard because I don't want to feel like a failure because I do that, because I'm like choosing that. Yeah. But I think it can
lead to. I mean, I also think like when you think about these kinds of things, it's more so of like your comfort zone, like how your mom's saying, like, girlfriend, this is not that big of a deal. Like you're bringing it out at the end of the day, but it's like our own insecurities, probably because of social media, that you see all these things of these studies and you think, oh, I'm doing so much harm to my kid. I will say on the other side of that, my son can speak 3 languages. So like, there's my flex. Like, and I think that you have to have this balance of
and Miller knows all of sign language from Miss Rachel.
Yeah.
I literally asked him the other day, Palmer was watching Miss Rachel and I did the sign language. I was like, what does that mean? It's like, stop, mommy. I'm like,
like, so there we go. There is some education. Like, I do feel like you have to like decide, how are you going to look at things? You can either look at the negative or you could look at the positive. Another mom fail that I will actually give this to my husband. He introduced candy to Zane. And like, when I say that, like, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but like, I think that our candy is such garbage here. Mm-hmm. Like, and like the name brand candies that we grew up with. And it's so wild. Like, I have the good ones, like that are dye free and no artificial colors, no like artificial sweeteners, all the right things I have. But it's like the branding and the marketing that he's like, no, I want the Starburst. No, mommy, I want the M&Ms and I want the red ones. I'm like,
Zane.
I know, but it's like I tried so hard, and then that's talk about parenting. And I'm like, my husband was like, oh no, this is a treat. Yeah.
Okay, so I think my mom fail is like creating a picky eater with Miller. And picky eater because I'm a picky eater, but I think because I had such a hard time getting him to eat in general solids, like he was just not that interested in it, that once he did like something, I just kept giving him that one thing and he would eat it. Like,
because you're like, you'll eat.
I'm like, oh my God, he's eating like nutrition, like good actual food, not a puree or like a smoothie, you know, he was eating, I think he used to eat like spinach and cheese raviolis. And then it was like, that's all he's getting because that's what
for
he
3
eats.
meals a day.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so now Miller only eats like, you know,
those 4
7
food groups.
things.
Oh yeah.
But he eats and they're healthy things, which is fine. But like, I think that is my mom fail. And so with Palmer, I am trying to.
Yeah, it's always the first one that you screw up. The second ones are going to be great.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's why I am.
You're the
way
first
I
kid.
am.
You're like, there we are. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like when we were talking about like mom fails, every day, I think there's something that comes up of like,
well,
no,
yeah,
I'm
I was
failing at
going to
this.
say like my other mom fail. I don't do it often, but like sometimes I will lose my cool and I don't like to do that. But it's like in a moment where, you know, if I'm trying to get out of the house and it's like, Miller, go pee on the potty. And I'm trying to get Palmer out and I'm by myself. And he's like, Mommy, but I want you to do, and I'm like, sit down on the potty.
Yeah.
I feel really bad after and I
Yeah.
will always apologize. Like,
And you
Mommy
talk to him
didn't
about
feel
it,
good
yeah.
in that moment and Mommy should have never said that to you. And none of this is your fault. I mean, I don't know how much he remembers, but
Yeah.
like, I do lose my cool. And like, I really don't lose it very often. I think these kids have given me so much patience. But when I do, I feel like I will be mad at myself for like a week.
I know, it's wild.
I will go to bed and Drew's like, I'm like, it's like, are you okay? I'm
no,
like,
no,
I'm
I
crying
lost it.
because I lost it on Mills. He's
Yeah,
like, it's
he
fine.
forgot about it,
He's
yeah.
fine. He kissed you goodnight and said he was
Yeah.
obsessed with you. And da-da-da. I'm like, I
Aw.
know, but for me, that is going to sit with me for like a week.
For a week. Yeah, I know. I mean, and I think it's like literally the flip of a dime. Like you feel one moment and then the next it's like this, like you're doing so great. And then like the bottom falls out and all of a sudden you're like, oh, never mind. I failed again at life. And like, honestly, you guys, if you're not having those moments, like have a reality check with yourself because like we all are having them constantly.
We are all having them. Yeah, I know. I think we should give like just a couple tips that have helped us let go of the need to be the perfect mom and like what we try to do.
Okay, so talking about how bad Instagram is, but I did see this thing that's like, okay, when you're 80 years old, like if you're in a really heated moment with your kids and like shit is going like sideways and there's drawings on the wall, like whatever it is, the mess that you have on your hands, the chaos, like think about your life when you're 80 years old and you get to go back into this moment, like how would you react?
Mhm.
I saw that on Instagram. So every time I'm having that, I'm like, these are the days that I know I'm going to look back and be like, I beg for one more. Like, I just want to be in that moment with my kids this little and being their mom. So I keep trying to like keep that in the front of my mind of like, this is okay. This will be okay. Tomorrow is another day. And these will be the most important moments of their lives growing up.
Yeah. I think for me too, one has to do with Instagram, even though we said it, but I have this one saved and I'm sure there's a million of them, but it's similar to what you're saying about like these days they really are so short and we're going to want the days where like our kids need us this much. Cause I think right now it can be so overwhelming. They need us to do absolutely everything.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes you get so frustrated in your patience by the end of the day and you just want to like put them to bed. Like it's like just get out and go to bed. And I try to like look at that all the time and just remember like I'm going to be begging for all of this
For
back.
sure.
I don't think that when you see those clips on Instagram though, that you need to feel like that every day. I think it's okay to feel like, could you leave
Yeah.
for like, could you go play on your own for a
Yeah.
second? And you know, I also think a tip for letting go of like the perfect mom idea in your head is talking to your mom friends. Like I think when obviously we're so lucky that we have this podcast, but like even when we talk to our other mom friends and it's like, oh, how is so-and-so going through potty training? It's like, oh, well, he pooped on the floor today.
Yeah.
And, you know, my friend Kendall's like, oh yeah, he, you know, pooped out his pants. And I'm like, oh,
Thank you.
it just makes you like when you have friends who are willing to tell you the truth and the
Your
gross
tribe.
stuff and your tribe, it makes you feel like, okay, we're all just trying.
Well, I
Doesn't matter what
remember
it
when
looks like.
I was with you and you're like, oh, Drew does not ever skip a bath time. And I texted like 3 of our other friends in a group chat. I did not put you in it. And I said, can you guys tell me the level of involvement your husbands are at bedtime? And they all spelled it out for me. They're like, one said he absolutely does nothing. I don't see him until like he comes home from work after the kids are already asleep. The other was like, oh, he like helps a little at dinner and then like, you know, maybe reads one a story. But like they gave me a very real situation and what their lives, and like that is very personal to them. Like I'm telling you, my husband, they're telling me my husband does nothing. Right. You're telling me, like, because I'm like, I'm comparing me to you, or I'm comparing Gus to Drew. I'm like, Drew is doing all of this and you're doing all of this. But like Drew, you know, it's just so funny though, because you look at like the situation and you're thinking, oh, I have it worse on my end. And you think, no, thank you for giving it to me straight to all of our other girlfriends.
Right. I think like your mom friends are so important when you're going through motherhood. And thankfully we have like the best mom friends.
Yeah.
And all of our people here now.
Yeah. All of our community.
We'll share with you all the
and I
things.
think like the biggest thing is like, you know, at the end of the day, continuing to share these vulnerable moments where it's like, yep, shit didn't go well. And here it is. You know, it's just relatable.
It's relatable. And I think for us, like, this is not easy for me to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I know it's not.
Because I prefer that like nobody knows what's really going on. Sure. And that everyone just sees like, oh yeah, oh, Taylor from high school, oh yeah, she seems good.
Thriving.
She's got 2 kids.
Yeah, she's great.
She's working,
yeah.
you know. And then I decided to do this podcast with you, and now I've exposed
now we're talking.
myself. But I think it's been so rewarding for me having conversations like this, to like strip down the walls and connect with people, because like we said, I think we all connect the most when we're like vulnerable and just really reveal what's actually going on.
And just realizing like the reality is we are not Instagram ready and Pinterest perfect most of the time.
No. And if you did see that, we likely edited on InShot for 8 hours.
If we're being honest. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was like bribery behind the scenes, like smile for the camera. Totally. Yeah, and all that. All right, you guys, thanks for coming along this journey of what a perfect mom should and should not do. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Camp Chaos. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Connect with us on social media at Camp Chaos Podcast. Until next time, campers.